Hello and welcome, and in this video I'll be showing you how to ungroup and group objects in Blender and in XML. There's kind of two methods to this madness. So if we see here, I'm on the overhead panel here, on the window heat subpanel. As you can see, if I click one of these switches, they all turn on, so they're all kind of grouped together. We see other instances of this as well, with the blinding lights and with the, if we zoom out, if you look at this switch and this switch, they're both connected. So there's several instances of this over here as well. I'm sure there's other instances that I can't think of. Over here, especially on the glare shield too, I think these are connected. But yeah, anyways, so I thought since this happens so often, I'll just kind of show you guys how to ungroup objects and how to, I guess, group objects as well, in case you want to do this to a set of buttons. So yeah, let's get started with Blender first. So if we go into, it's going to depend. It's going to require researching on your part. So if someone were to give me like this, right, I would go and look at Blender, which I have open here, and I would click on it and say, okay, so this is obviously all connected with Blender. Now, with these though, these are connected with XML because these are all separate objects that are connected through XML, which you can see here. These are called like land 1, land n for nose, and then land 2. So they're all under the same pick animation. So all you need to do to fix this is that you just need to give each toggle switch its own pick animation with its own property, and you need to give each toggle switch its own rotation animation as well, with its own property, as well as, yeah, that's about it. So that's why these are connected, because they all have the same pick animation and the same rotation. It says here that the land end has its own animation, but it's connected with the same property. So when this property changes, it's gonna change these two as well as this one. So it needs its own property to work off of. So you can watch the toggle switch video if you want to learn how to do the right code to animate toggle switches. But you just need three different pick animation and a rotate animation for each of these objects. Anyways, so after you discover the problem, whether it's in Blender or in XML, you can do the XML way if that's the problem, or if the Blender's your problem, here's how you solve this if these are connected. If you want to make all these buttons independent in Blender, first things first is that I would press Shift H to hide everything else, so that way I'm not distracted by all these other panels and background objects and stuff like that. I can just look at these 4 buttons alone. Now, I can zoom in and kind of pan over, and we can kind of just look at one button here, or one switch, and we can go into edit mode. Right now we're in object mode. Object mode is used for primarily selecting and scaling and moving objects. Edit mode is for editing a singular object. So we can get into edit mode by going into the top left here and pressing edit mode, or we can press tab to easily toggle between those two modes. So after we're in edit mode, it's going to just automatically select these 4 switches here. Just click out of that and make sure you have the select box selected in your toolbox here, and you want to just select one button, right click, and separate by selection. and toggle back into object mode, and you can see these are now two separate objects. Now, if you look into the code here, let's go to window heat. So this object is called window heat. So these will still be animated, these three objects, but this won't be, because there is no code for window heat 0.001. We just made this object. This is a new object name, right? So if you do Control F or go over here, paste it into here, it doesn't exist yet. You might wonder, okay, why isn't it showing up in the AC file? It's because it hasn't been saved yet. We haven't. So make sure after you separate these objects, you also go to export it into the correct folder. But yeah, if you want to continue to separate these, it's just the same process. So zoom in, tab to get into edit mode, select one of these guys, right click separate to separate by selection, and we can do this. Can do this for the rest of them. Separate by selection. And that should be it. So that's how you do it. So you would need, right now, these four buttons are working under just one pick animation and one text translate. So window heat, instead of referring to all four, is now referring to just this one. Because the other ones, this is called window heat, this is called window heat .003, .002, and so on. So you would need three more animations for these three latch switches in order to animate them. Okay, so to group objects, you would just do the opposite. You can just select it, right click. You will select it while you're in object mode, and right click, join, and there you go. They're now all connected. Yeah, and then to bring all the objects back to all the other objects back, press Alt H, and that brings back all the other objects that you had in your view. Yeah, to group objects in XML, you just did what they did here originally. You just put all the objects under one pick animation. Either one works for grouping. I don't think there's one better way. There's different ways to skin a cat. But yeah, that's it for this video. It's a pretty short video. I'll see you guys later.